Well, if they don't want it, in the past, you see, they could sell it, throw it out, do anything with it they wanted. But then a law was passed last spring, which we asked to have passed, whereby everything that's given or bought by the White House becomes part of its permanent collection. If a future First Family doesn't want it, it goes to the Smithsonian, where it will be taken care of and displayed.
She was an American icon, a symbol of style, elegance, and resilience in the face of unimaginable tragedy. Jackie Kennedy Onassis captivated the world as the young and beautiful First Lady, charmed the public with her intelligence and grace, and endured the heartbreak of her husband's assassination with remarkable strength and poise. But when Jackie passed away in 1994, the details of her estate left her family and the public in shock. From Camelot to tragedy. Jacqueline Bouvier Kennedy, the young wife of President John F. Kennedy, captivated the nation with her beauty, style, and grace. She brought a breath of fresh air to the White House, charming dignitaries and the public alike with her intelligence, wit, and impeccable taste. The media dubbed the Kennedy presidency as Camelot, a nod to the legendary court of King Arthur, with Jackie as its enchanting queen. Behind the fairy tale facade, however, Jackie's life was far from perfect. She endured the pain of her husband's numerous infidelities and the heartbreak of a stillborn daughter and the death of an infant son. Through it all, she maintained her poise and dignity, focusing on her role as a mother to young Caroline and John Jr. and as a cultural ambassador for the United States. Tragedy struck on November 22, 1963, when President Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas. Jackie, who had been riding next to him in the motorcade, was left splattered with her husband's blood and brains. In the midst of her shock and grief, she insisted on accompanying Jack's body back to Washington, D.C., standing alongside his casket in her blood-stained pink suit. Her strength and composure in these dark hours became an enduring symbol of national mourning and resilience. In the days following the assassination, Jackie expressed her gratitude for the outpouring of support she and her children received. She said, "I want to take this opportunity to express my appreciation for all the hundreds of thousands of messages, nearly 800,000 in all, which my children and I have received over the past few weeks. The knowledge of the affection in which my husband was held by all of you has sustained me, and the warmth of these tributes is something I shall never forget. Whenever I can bear to, I read them. All his bright lights gone from the world. All of you who have written to me know how much we all loved him and that he returned that love in full measure." At the age of 34, Jackie was now a widow with 2 young children to raise alone. She withdrew from public life, seeking solace in her family and close friends. As part of JFK's estate, Jackie became the beneficiary of a trust fund that provided her with a comfortable income of around $200,000 per year, equivalent to about $1.7 million in today's dollars. It was a generous sum, but it came with a stipulation. If Jackie were to remarry, the money would be split between her 2 children. For several years, she focused on preserving her husband's legacy, overseeing the creation of the John F. Kennedy Presidential Library and Museum. She also became involved in historic preservation efforts, famously leading the campaign to save New York's Grand Central Terminal from demolition. Jackie O and Aristotle Onassis. In October 1968, Jackie Kennedy stunned the world when she married Aristotle Onassis, a wealthy Greek shipping tycoon. The news of their union sent shockwaves through American society, with many feeling a sense of betrayal that the widow of the beloved President Kennedy would marry a foreign billionaire. For Jackie, the decision to marry Onassis was driven by a desire for privacy and security. After years in the public eye, she craved a refuge from the constant scrutiny and judgment. Onassis, with his vast wealth and private island in Greece, offered her a chance to escape and protect herself and her children. But the marriage came at a cost. By marrying Onassis, Jackie lost her Secret Service protection and her status as a revered public figure. Some condemned her as a quote-unquote public sinner, criticizing her for marrying a divorced man and questioning her moral character. The Vatican even considered excommunicating her, though they ultimately decided against it. Despite the backlash, she threw herself into her new role as Jackie O, embracing the jet-set lifestyle and luxurious trappings that came with being the wife of one of the world's richest men. She divided her time between Onassis' private island, Scorpios, his yacht, the Christina O, and homes in Athens, Paris, and New York. But the fairy tale was short-lived. Their marriage was tumultuous, marred by his infidelities and her growing unhappiness. When Onassis died in 1975, Jackie found herself embroiled in a bitter legal battle with his daughter, Christina, over his vast estate. At his funeral, Jackie reflected on her life, stating, "I think my biggest achievement is that, after going through a rather difficult time, I consider myself comparatively sane." Onassis had left the bulk of his fortune to Christina, with Jackie receiving a relatively modest $150,000 per year stipend. Expectations had been high that Jackie would inherit a substantial portion of his wealth, with estimates ranging from $100 to $200 million. The reality was a shocking disappointment. After months of negotiations and legal wrangling, Jackie eventually accepted a $26 million settlement from Christina in exchange for relinquishing all claims to the Onassis estate. While it was a significant sum, it was a fraction of what many had anticipated Jackie would receive. In the aftermath of Onassis' death and the legal battle, Jackie once again found herself at a crossroads. At age 46, she was a widow for the second time, facing an uncertain future. With characteristic resilience, she returned to New York and began to carve out a new life for herself, one that would see her become a respected book editor and continue her work as a cultural icon and preservationist. Later years and final days. In the late 1980s and early 90s, she became more involved in politics, supporting President Clinton's campaign and becoming a trusted advisor to Hillary. She also continued her work in historic preservation, championing the cause of saving America's cultural landmarks and architectural treasures. But in the fall of 1993, her life took a sudden and tragic turn. While participating in a fox hunt in Virginia, she fell from her horse and was seriously injured. The accident marked the beginning of a rapid decline in her health as she began to experience severe pain and other symptoms in the following months. In January 1994, Jackie was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. She began chemotherapy treatments, but the cancer had already spread to her liver and brain. Despite her illness, Jackie remained stoic and grateful, determined to maintain her privacy and dignity in the face of mounting media attention. On May 19, 1994, just 2 months after her diagnosis, Jackie passed away in her sleep at her apartment in New York City. She was 64. Her death sent shockwaves around the world as millions mourned the loss of a beloved icon and symbol of American resilience. A surprising estate. Many assumed the former First Lady had amassed a vast fortune, but when the details of her estate were revealed, the reality was a surprise. At the time of her death, her net worth was estimated to be around $43.7 million. The bulk of the estate was divided between her 2 children, Caroline Kennedy and John F. Kennedy Jr. Now it's time to hear from you. Are you surprised that Jackie didn't have more money in her estate when she died? Let us know in the comments section below.